What's going on, guys? Welcome to week 4 of the All 7 Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm here with James, and today we got a special guest, Aiden Good, man. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, dude,
Uh,
our pleasure.
every single time. I love having Aiden Good on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for you guys to get to berate my fantasy team, bro. My God squad.
Oh, yeah. God Squad for sure. Well, enough messing with Aiden. I think we should just hop right into. Well, first of all, how was your weeks, guys? Good? Bad?
I feel like my week wasn't bad. I had a lot of work to do. So that sucked. But we're here now. I feel like I'm kind of at the tail end of the week. I only have one class Friday, and like tomorrow's my last day. I'm excited to get it done and over with.
I had a lot of work too, but I got my fall break coming up, so I just gotta power through, and then I can devote more time to what's important, fantasy football.
Exactly. That's
You
what we
know,
want to hear.
boys, I've had a week full of work as well. A lot of catching up to do. Been missing some classes since my leg, that's a little issue. Um, and then I beat Aiden Good's ass in fantasy, so I guess we're gonna get right into that though. So let's look over the matchups from last week, fellas. I think that's what we start with.
Yeah. It doesn't even matter. Let's just go to the matchups.
Let's just
I
go to the
forget what we
matchups.
start with. It's something different sometimes.
You know, well, last week we started
What's
off
the
with
first one?
trades, and there's no trades to go over. Nothing happened,
That's right.
so um, but
Definitely lots of talks, but we can get to that.
definitely lots of talks. So we're gonna start. We're gonna start it off with me and Aiden Good. Aiden, I'm gonna let you go over this matchup.
So, yeah, thanks for letting me talk about this. I really want to reminisce. I think the weaknesses in my team really, really reared their ugly heads this week. I basically don't have an RB2 or a flex, which is, not how you win games when you can't count on guys to put up 5 points that you're starting. And I'm a firm believer that your team is very underrated. Um, I had you in the power rankings at the start of the season, like around 9 or 8, which I think was higher than almost everyone else. And once Cup comes back, I think you're probably a top 5 team in the league. I told you I thought you were going to win. I think you have a very solid team.
Thank you, man. I love getting my flowers because, dang, I feel like I deserve it, dude. I didn't draft the greatest team, but I made really good trades. So I like that I'm getting some flowers from you, especially after I just beat you 112 to 75.
Yeah, not second worst week of fantasy ever, but no, we move on. Got a lot of players on IR. I see the potential. That's why my team is named the Process now.
Oh, you should be name it tanking for Travis Hunter. That's what I think
Dude,
your
I
team
don't
name
know.
should be.
That didn't really work for me last year, bro.
Mm.
But like matchup specifically, I'm pretty sure I beat you in every category except for Jamar
Yeah,
Chase.
for sure.
Except for
For
Jamar
wide
Chase.
receiver one.
Yeah. So
And one last thing to touch on for our matchup is pretty sure David Montgomery had more points than Gibbs, which
yeah, he did.
was definitely probably the only part of our matchup that actually surprised me. It definitely caught me off guard. It was a bit concerning. So I would probably say he's like low-key like your MVP because he was not someone I thought you were going to be able to count on like this, and he's been incredible this season.
James.
You know, Austin, I gotta agree. You've got an underrated team. You definitely have those like X Factor guys when they're healthy, like Cup. I mean, all you need is to be in that top 5 conversation, and then you could be in any place for the chip. So I mean, you're in a good spot. Aiden, unfortunately, the team just isn't there. I mean, it's going to be a free win for some people until you make some changes, but the changes are underway. I'm sure you've been trying to figure that out.
Stevie, thank you, brother, for David Montgomery. I'm going to say thank you every single week because he continues to outperform Jahmyr Gibbs, and I gave you an apple core and 2 bags of chips for him. So, thank you, Stevie. That's just going to sum up the matchup of Aiden Good and I because that was a blowout. You really didn't have a chance when your RB2 is scoring 1 point, your quarterback scoring 5, and you got a big old goose egg and a negative point from your defense. So,
Yeah.
you can't win. That's really bad. Like, I don't know, bro. You got really unlucky this week. Moving on. Easy Pickens and Clint Flickers. Smays versus George. Nate. Not Nate. James. Wow, I'm messing up this episode. My apologies, fellas. Holy cow. James, why don't you get us into this one?
Yeah, a little bit disappointing again from CD Lamb on Georgia's side. Obviously, that's a first-round pick, and you need him to perform. He didn't, but like straight off the bat this week, Justin Jefferson made an impact. It was pretty much like first half. He went silent in the second half. Thank God. Honestly, I think the whole league would have been pissed about that trade with Nate Cominoli if he proceeded to put up 40. So honestly, thank God he didn't. But it kind of hurts. I wanted George to win this one. It's never going to be easy to beat Smays, and this was probably the only week that anyone was going to be able to do it. Overall, it was definitely a weird fantasy week. I counted 7 teams below 100 total points.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And, I mean, Sean still scored 92, which I think is, like, one of the higher, point totals in the league. But I'm sorry, Smays, but we all know that you have a super team. I wanted George to pull this one out, and he just couldn't.
I did too.
Yeah, I definitely think George has a very solid team though. Once Pacheco comes back, he did have to start Foreman, who might actually be a worse running back too than my RB2.
Yeah, you don't want to start Deontay Foreman at RB2, or actually, that's just, you don't want to start him ever at all. But Aiden, as you were saying,
also, I think you wanted to say something next.
I mean, not really. I think I really wanted George to win. That strange touchdown, actually. That's the most random thing ever, I feel like, and that just lost George the matchup. Because Dalton Kincaid scored, which is what he needed. And George was up, like, 2 points or something, 1 or 2 points. And then that touchdown from Brenton Strange was, like, kind of out of nowhere. I mean, the Jags are not good.
Random. Like, in a blowout game, they just find Strange in the end zone. I mean, that's a bad beat.
That is a bad beat. But I really wanted Smays to lose. I could have used a Smays loss, considering I'm in contention for first place with him this week. So that would have helped me a lot. But, that didn't happen. So, George, you took the dub here. And then CeeDee Lamb, like, I don't know, dude. That's so weird. Like, it's actually weird to see. Like, I feel like it's not real because he was, what, the second pick? The third pick he was?
Second, I think.
The second.
Second.
In, like, majority fantasy leagues, too. Like, it wasn't just ours. Like, everybody picked CeeDee Lamb super high. And like we talked about last episode, like, Dak has not been good, really. He had a good game. He had a good comeback last game. Not a good entirety of a game by Dak, but, he threw almost 400 yards. And he brought us back into the game, and he couldn't pull it for the Cowboys through at the end there. But, it's all right. It's the life of a Cowboys fan, to be honest with you, so.
Oh, and one last thing I forgot to mention. This is totally off the topic of the Cowboys, but I forgot to mention Aaron Jones on Smay's team. Just going off on his bench, I think Aaron Jones might be a fantasy performer this year, and just another person that is somehow on Smay's team. You hate to see someone with as talented of a team as Smays lose week 1 and then get a high waiver pick and be able to get Jordan Mason, and then he's also just got Aaron Jones waiting on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Just the worst string of events for the league happened, and yeah, just I forgot to mention Aaron Jones there.
Yeah, he's got George Kittle and Keenan Allen chilling on his IR too. Like what?
Crazy.
Anyways, good job, George. You beat Smaze. This next matchup, it was a blowout, but then it wasn't. Mr. Ramey versus Garrett. It was really weird because Garrett's team, like, he only has 3 guys that ever really do anything, which is Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor, and Kyron Williams. And he was down by like 50 heading into Thursday night, and he cut it to a 20-point game. So, Garrett, congrats. The final score was 157, 136, Ramey. But Aiden, why don't you take this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ramey's team is very clearly better than Garrett's team. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ramey won, right?
Yeah, he won by 20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Ramey's team honestly is looking insane, and the fact that he has Puka Nacua on his IR is scary.
He's gonna do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the league. Okay. I think the league is very top heavy. I think there's like 6 very, very good teams, maybe 7, and the bottom 5 teams are like atrocious. And it would have been huge for Garrett to pull off the win this week because he's really gonna need it. I don't see his team putting up 136 points many weeks.
No.
And you know, that's coming from somebody who would probably say their team is worse than Garrett's. So no disrespect, but like, just if I was in that situation where my team put up 136 and I lost, I would be feeling pretty bad because that might only happen 2 times, 3 times for Garrett this whole season if he keeps that roster.
Yeah, I've got a question for Garrett. Is like, at what point do you finally sit Tank Dell? They were behind this week. They lost 7-34. I don't know how many times CJ Stroud threw the ball, but it had to have been a bunch, a ton, and he still only walked away with 11.2 fantasy points. That's like the higher end you're going to get from Tank Dell. I don't know if he scored a touchdown, but still, you got to start Terry McLaurin. I mean, Brandon Ayuk, yes, he's a big part of that Niners offense. You got to start him, but Terry McLaurin, Jaden Daniels, they look like they're clicking. He's going to throw that deep ball up to him, and I mean, McLaurin said it in an interview after the game. He said he called for that play on 3rd down. I want a chance to ice this thing. I'm going to go to the pylon, get it to me, and I'm going to make a play, and he did. So could be scary Terry season. Ramey, on your side, just that was dominance with Goddard on the bench too. We told you to start Brock Bowers, and of course Goddard with the game of his life, game of his career. I don't know if he's had a game that good. Yeah, like that's all I've got, Austin.
What, like, my thing is, like, Ramey, I'm sorry. I feel bad about the whole Brock Bowers thing. I don't know. Because, like, if none of us, I feel like he is smart to know, like, he probably should have started Brock Bowers last game, like, going off numbers from all the weeks. But all of us, like, low-key told him, like, man, your fandom is taking over and you should start Brock Bowers. And then Dallas Goedert has 27 on the bench. And then going to Garrett's team, yo, you literally told me that you asked George if you should start Juwan Jennings over Tank Dell, and you just decided not to. And he has 46 points on your bench. This dude had 3 touchdowns on Sunday. That's like...
I mean, I can understand where he's coming from a little bit. It's kind of hard to start, Juwan Jennings of all people, but damn.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like with Kittle, CMC, Debo out, like, I feel like the idea was there for him to go off. Maybe not for like 45 points or whatever he had, but I think I would have put like $5 or $10 on him putting up 13 as the number 2 option on the 49ers.
I mean, he had 12 targets. Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, I don't know. Brandon Ayuk is just non-existent. Like, it's almost like he's not there. Like I don't really
I've
get
seen
it.
I've watched some plays where it's like I don't know, the ball hits his hands and it hits the floor. Maybe it's still because he didn't practice, or maybe he's not practicing hard enough. I don't know. But Brandon Ayuk doesn't seem to be all there
Mm-mm.
this year, at
It's
least
weird.
to start.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's weird. But hey, Garrett, I hope you figure it out who to start. Romo Dunze played good last game. That could just be one game. But you never really know. It's a rookie with a rookie quarterback. Probably be good in the next few years. Just probably not like consistent right now. And maybe he will be that consistent guy for that team though. I don't know. That's like the biggest question mark offense in my opinion in the league right now is the Bears because like sometimes they click and they look pretty good and then there's other games where they just can't even get the ball out of the pocket. Just their O line isn't the greatest, so it's kind of hard for Caleb
Mhm.
Williams. But I don't know. That's a tough decision.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and I agree there with the Bears. I mean, Cole Kmet, he's probably going to be a waiver wire pickup this week for some teams. He had 25. Um, it's just impossible to figure that offense out. I mean, I don't see Cole Kmet be even close to reliably doing that. I mean, the 2 weeks prior, I think he had like 1 and 2 points. So that offense, I'm just gonna try to stay away from if I can.
Too.
But if you can guess the right spots, it could totally play into your hand.
Yeah. Well.
So I actually picked up Cole Kmet, so I might
Ah,
just chime in here. To me, I do agree with what you said, but I think I mean, let's like look at the first 3 weeks, how much Caleb Williams has improved. I know he had some turnovers in the last game, but I think he had over 300 passing yards.
I think he had like over
Um,
350
he
passing
looked
yards.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I took Cole Kmet because one, I have Kyle Pitts as my tight end. And I do have a little bit of faith in that Bears offense.
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, they didn't run the ball against a Colts team that has given up 150 to running backs the first 2 weeks, and they definitely could have benefited from that because, well, they lost the game. So I don't
Mhm.
think they're going to want Caleb Williams to go out there and chuck the ball that much, which is why I feel like I want to stay away. But they still have to win games, and regardless of whether he threw for 350 or not, they want to win, not for Caleb Williams to go out and do that.
Mhm.
True. Well, Garrett, you almost completed the comeback, just not quite enough. If you started the right people, hey, maybe you win the game. No, moving on. We got Stevie versus Aiden Kerr. I think I'm gonna go over this one because I owe Stevie an apology, man. Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
damn it, dude. Um, I'm sorry, Stevie. You actually beat a good team in this league. I personally did not think you had the team to beat a team like Aiden Kerr's in this league. I didn't think you really had a chance, but you did it because Derrick Henry had 30 points, and so did Jaden Daniels. And then Aiden's team just literally didn't perform. Um, I still think your team isn't great. I think it's looking better for you with Derrick Henry because they're going to realize, oh, we should probably get him more carries than he already has had. I mean, he's been having a lot of carries every game, anyways, but they should be giving him more. I feel like it's not enough still. And last game, we saw that against a good Dallas defense, which is, or, yeah, against a good Dallas defense, which is like, that's kind of scary. I don't know. I feel like if I'm you, Stevie, I'm selling high with Derrick Henry and try to get something because your receiving core is the shambles, man. Like you started Demarcus Robinson and you got Jalen Waddle who doesn't have a quarterback.
That's why I was surprised he won this matchup. He did it
Yeah,
without wide receivers. That's just unheard of.
it's
Like
weird.
you need wide receivers to win games in fantasy football. And Stevie just decided, no, we don't need them. We're gonna win anyways. And Jaden Daniels and Charbonnet and Henry, they carved up the league this week.
Yeah, I think Stevie's team it's odd because I think he has a very solid running back core. It obviously gets significantly worse with K9 coming back.
Mhm.
Great QB. Um, I think I mean, is Daniels has to be at least a QB2, QB3, just behind Josh Allen, I would guess.
He's two.
He's two.
Yeah. But then on the other hand, his wide receiver core is like basically the equivalent of my running back core. It actually might be worse. I mean, I think he benched Jalen Waddle. Who's his but? Oh, AJ Brown is coming back. To be fair, I forgot he had AJ Brown.
That's
That's my
true. I
bad.
forgot.
But he did pull off that one without AJ Brown, which is crazy. But still, even when AJ Brown comes back, he pretty much doesn't have a flex or even a wide receiver too that I think would start on any other team in the league. So I think his team has the potential, but very, very similar to my team. Like there has to be some trades made for some depth.
I also think, Stevie, you kind of overvalue some of your guys on your bench. Just want to put that out there. They're on your bench, bro.
You're in some trade talks with Stevie, and he likes his bench players.
Yo, have we all been there, done that? I mean, I pulled it off because he loves Isaiah Likely, apparently. But, like, you guys have been there?
No, I haven't, but I can see what you're saying.
Not yet for his bench players, but I have
There's a
tried
little bit
to
of
go around the block with my favorite RB, Tony Pollard, and we haven't been able to get anything done.
overvaluing him a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
One poker. All right, well, Stevie, congrats, you won. I don't see very many coming in your future still. Sorry, dude. I just don't. Moving on, the matchup that probably nobody cares about. Like, I don't even think these guys care about it. Sheree versus Nate. Like, who cares? James, you should care enough to talk about it. I don't know.
No, yeah, I care about fantasy football, but I don't really want to talk about this matchup.
Make it quick.
Well, Nate, I'm gonna roast you again for drafting Sam Laporta in the third round. Hey, Drake London only underperformed Jay Jettas by about 1.5 points or something like that. So
Yeah.
good for you on that aspect. Jamison Williams showed his floor this week, which is 1 point. And Sheree, you got a big performance from Stephon Diggs without a touchdown, 20 points. So good for you there. Otherwise, Sheree, I am interested in trading with you. I think Aiden can say the same thing. We're just not sure how to contact you. You don't respond usually.
Hit me up.
You know.
Hit me up pretty quick before this podcast. I was trying to get a last minute trade, and he actually responded. But
to be fair, I haven't texted Sheree yet. I have that preconceived notion that he's usually unreachable.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, you're not, because I texted him 2 weeks ago and he hasn't answered me. Sheree, you don't even watch this, probably.
No. If somebody close to Sheree sees this podcast, please at least let us know he's okay. Aiden, I guess he's all right because he texted.
Yeah, he texted you.
Yeah. I guess he just likes me more than you guys, you know.
I guess. Holy crap. Dude, we suck, I guess. I don't really have anything to say about this matchup. It's so boring. Nobody cares. These are the two bottom tier teams of the league. Nate, you won your first and probably only game, so congrats, bro. Moving on to what I had matchup of the week. Going into the week. Nathan Donnelly versus James. I'm gonna start off by saying James had 7 points at 6 o'clock on Sunday.
No, I had 7 points by before the Sunday night football game.
Yeah, that's a crazy comeback. You won 90 to 85. You beat Nathan. You're retaining your spot in the power rankings. Probably you're keeping yourself up there, but let's hear what you think about it.
It really sucks what's happened with Tyreek Hill. I think until we get a word on Tua, he's just really going to be uncertain. But Rafi Rice has effectively traded roles. He's wide receiver 2 right now. I can see a world where he becomes one. He gets so many looks from Patrick Mahomes, and I love having the stack. Um, but I got out of this matchup by the skin of my teeth. I should have lost. The Commanders, it really came down to Zach Moss and Brian Robinson in the last game. The Commanders had the ball on the goal line, tried to run it in with Brian Robinson twice and got stuffed, and then they threw it to an offensive lineman. And then I still don't win unless Zach Moss scores a touchdown in garbage time to make this a 33-38 game. So should not have even won, but a great performance from all my running backs across the board.
Yeah.
Singletary, Moss, and Cook all had 18 plus, so I was happy to see that from all my guys. But that's what I got from that matchup.
Singletary really should have had 24 on your bench, or probably more, because he stopped himself at the 1 yard line just for the game. Congrats, James. That's a crazy comeback, to be honest. Like, that's actually a crazy comeback. Yeah. I don't know how you...
I needed a miracle.
Shit. A miracle you got. All right, well, that's a week 3 matchups that we just went over. Let's hop into some more...
Wait.
Did we skip?
Sorry, I'm tripping. Nope, no, not this time.
We did last week, though. I skipped my own matchup last week. That was kind of weird.
Yeah.
So moving on to like more general talks. AJ Brown comes back this week. What do we think he's gonna do? I think he's probably gonna affect that Eagles offense a lot positively because they look like they need him pretty badly. Jalen Hurts looks lost. And that'll help Stevie out too. I think he really, really needs that AJ Brown piece back in his lineup.
Yeah, he definitely needs it. I'm more interested to see what it will do for the rest of the Eagles offense because I mean, think about their players, Dallas Goedert, Smith, Saquon, they've all been putting up like ridiculous numbers. And now points are some of them are going to have to go to AJ Brown for sure. I mean, he's super talented. So this is kind of about Ramey's team. I don't want to hate cuz I hated a little bit at the beginning of the season, but a lot of those points that are going to AJ Brown are going to be coming from players on his team.
Yeah.
I still think he's going to have a solid team, but like Devonta Smith, he's like, I was actually checking today because I was thinking about trading for him. He's not going to be, he's like wide receiver 7 or 8 right now. It's not going to stay that way. And on it, I think it's also going to hurt Saquon, definitely way less. But I don't think he'll be putting up like the 30 a week he has. I think it's going to go down to a slightly more reasonable number.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
yeah, I don't have much to say about that besides Aiden. I think you hit it right on the. It's gonna throw too. So helps out Stevie a lot. Ramey is in a bit of a. He's kind of back to where he was, which is still. I have to.
after some technical issues, we are back. That's my end, so sorry guys. My fault, but we can continue with the usual, you know. We were talking about AJ Brown. James, did you have anything you wanted to say or
Just that Aiden hit it on the nose. This is just something that's going to affect Ramey's team because he's got all the supporting pieces around AJ Brown. Saquon, like Aiden said, he should be fine. He gets a certain level of production, maybe not 30 every week, but you'll still see great production from it.
Yeah, I agree. You know what's kind of crazy? The amount of injuries this year. Like, so many injuries. Like, and it's affecting everybody's teams, like, pretty bad. Like, I feel almost every team in the league has one guy that's very good that's on the IR right now or is questionable or is just out. I don't know.
Yeah, I can talk on that because I have Brooks, who I drafted knowing he was going to miss time, but I drafted Debo, and I think it's one of the reasons why there's like so many really good teams and really bad teams. It really highlighted who drafted well, and I did not draft well. I completely whiffed on all of my late round picks. And it shows because I'm now starting Jalen Warren and Rashid Shaheed. And, versus other teams who, trying to think of someone off the top of my head, but I know there are teams who have had even worse injuries than losing Debo, and they had the late round picks to make up for it. And I think that, honestly, I think that's a good thing because it rewards people who drafted well throughout the whole draft and not just the first 5 rounds when, in my opinion, it's the easiest.
Yeah. James, anything? Or you just...
No, Aiden's really good at talking fantasy, so I don't really have
Wow.
to fill in too
Wow.
much.
Well, then Aiden, maybe this will piss you off because or maybe not, because you said this. Was that a fluke from Jamar Chase, or
Um,
is this gonna happen every week? What do we think?
I mean, if you're in trade talks with me for Jamar Chase, he's gonna do this every week and only better. But when I talk with my suite mates here who aren't in this league and have a lot of them have Jamar Chase, um, I think there are signs to point that he could be back and signs to point that it could be a fluke week. I think pros are, um, I know he's been getting doubled a lot with T Higgins out.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge that teams can't double him anymore. But I really think besides for that, a lot of signs point to it being a fluke. One, if the Commanders do not have the worst defense in the league, then they have the second worst. And the first would be the Bengals. But no, the
Hmm.
Bengals put up 33 points. Or I think 33. Jamar didn't put up 20 to 30. That would be pretty concerning. I feel like when you have like a game where they're for the first time in like decades that there's uh no plays ending like a turnover or punts or anything like that, like your best player should be putting up 30. And on top of that, Commander's secondary is not good. I mean, he only got 7 targets. He's not gonna get 30 with 7 targets every week.
Yeah,
He
true.
was a guy who's been good in the past because he gets 12 targets for a lot of receptions. So if I was gonna put it on like a percent scale, I would say I'm like 66% that this week was probably a fluke, and that's why I've been trying to trade him, but haven't gotten really any great offers.
I believe in Jamar Chase. Obviously, he's got a tremendous amount of talent, and that's always just the biggest
Yeah.
thing for me. Uh, but Jamar Chase should be fine. And you did mention the Bengals having one the worst defense in the league. I think that plays into his hand very well. It's going to be a lot of passing scripts. Um, he will get more than 7 targets, and I think they tried to take Jamar away a little bit more towards the end of the game. You saw a lot more dump downs to Zach Moss. Joe Burrow is always going to make the correct play when it comes to that, so he did look for his intermediate routes. He hit tight end a couple times, but uh, Jamar Chase will always have a chance to just burn the secondary at least once or twice a game, and I think he can do it. We're talking, 13-point plays and that's always in his bag. He's always been able to do that. So, um, uh, Jamar Chase, I feel like is a lock. Uh, not every week. No one's that consistent, but I think he's good for 20 plus. 80% of the weeks moving forward.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah,
because T Higgins comes back, or he is back now, and as you could I don't know if you both watched the game. I don't know if James watched a lot of it,
I
cause
did. I did.
okay, and
Yeah.
Jamar Chase wasn't getting doubled anymore, really. I mean, because T Higgins was out there and he was playing pretty good. I mean, he had a good game for his first game back. He could have had 2 touchdowns. He dropped them. They were kind of shitty throws though. So I mean, depends on how you look at it. He's definitely taking some targets away from Jamar Chase, but at the same time, he's opening him up way more than he's taking away from him, and it clearly benefits him. And they also look like they're having more fun as a team out there with T Higgins back. He kind of seems like an energy guy. Him and Jamar are good friends, so I think that's going to help the team as a whole in general. They looked a lot better last week than they have any other week this season. So,
And especially next week, they're going to be playing with a sense of urgency. I mean, you go 0-4,
mm-hmm.
you have to be pretty much perfect to get into the playoffs. So this team is going to be hungry next week. They're going to come out and they might put up 40. I don't even know who are they playing. I honestly don't think it matters. They're going to play their ass off. an 0-3 team in Week 4 needs to play well, or else they are not making the playoffs. 0-4 is really tough in the National Football League.
Well, they're playing the Carolina Panthers, who looked better last week with Andy Dalton. Um, so we'll see. That's a crappy team. Another crappy team is the Dallas Cowboys, because what is going on in Dallas? Like, actually. It's
I don't know.
like CeeDee's yelling
Um,
at Dak on the sideline, like, throw me the ball, get me the ball. And then, like, on the other hand, Dak seems to be playing. He played good last game, but he's not playing top tier football like we're used to. And I feel like CeeDee's not getting the amount of targets that he wants.
personally, as a Dallas fan, I'm not in full panic yet. The Saints have looked not like a horrible team. So like the loss to
Yeah.
them, yeah, it's definitely not great. And then the Ravens too are also a very solid team. And without Derrick Henry, they would have been cooked that game. My dad
Mm-hmm.
even texted me in the middle of the game. He goes, "That guy you drafted 2 years ago in fantasy football, like, he's cooking us." And he goes, "He looks like a Greek god out there." Like, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm like fully panicking, for Dallas, but it's
Something
starting to
up.
get scary.
Something's up
Yeah,
over there
there's
in Dallas,
definitely
man.
I definitely think they had a lot of contract issues, a lot of controversy about like we're not going to be able to pay this person, and that
Yeah.
definitely could have caused some issues this season. But I think realistically, they've had a decently rough schedule. Saying that the Saints have looked like a decent team this year, and I think they can bounce back and be the first round exit that they always like to be.
Yeah, I believe in them. They definitely need to scoop up a win tomorrow night against the Giants. I guess if you're watching this tomorrow, that'd be tonight against the Giants. Because after that, you have to go to Pittsburgh, and they're undefeated. We know Pittsburgh isn't a great team, but they will win the game. 13-10 against you guys. Um, and Justin Fields has done what he needs to. I mean, you're talking about someone who completed 80% of his passes last week. I didn't even think that was possible for Justin Fields. So, I mean, I'm happy for him. Kind of looks like he's moving to be more of like a pocket passer, running when he needs to, not every play. Um, so it's absolutely necessary that you guys handle business tomorrow or tonight, um, because you can't take an embarrassment loss to the Giants and then probably lose to the Steelers at home and fall to what would that be, 1-4,
Yeah.
or yeah.
1-4.
So uh,
I
handle business.
I had really low expectations coming into the season, and I actually saw this coming from a mile away. When you have an offseason full of contractual issues and an owner or GM and Jerry Jones who's like, what, too old to be whatever the hell he's doing, and then we have issues with JJ McCarthy, or sorry, whoa, not JJ, Mike McCarthy, which like we should have fired him and signed Jim Harbaugh. So I don't understand. I think it's a coaching issue as well. We should have jumped on Jim, in my personal opinion, because like we let him go to the Chargers, and Justin Herbert is playing. I'd say, I mean, but the Chargers aren't horrible. Like he's a good
Well, I
coach.
mean, the Chargers have balance, which is what
Hmm.
they had for like the first time in a while. I mean, obviously they had Eckler for a while, but he didn't necessarily bring balance in the running game. It was kind of those short passes. That's how
Yeah,
they ran the
yeah,
ball. It's
yeah.
like those little screen passes, and that kind of worked. Fantasy wise for Austin Eckler, we know
Oh my
for
God.
a couple of years he was a beast, but. Um, the Cowboys, if they had Harbaugh as coach, they'd be running the ball better. They probably would have gotten a running back in the second round or something like that. It's unbelievable that you guys thought you'd be fine bringing back Zeke and relying on. I mean, Dowdle. I mean, he's better than Zeke, but
Mhm.
he's not too great. But you guys aren't even playing cowboy football. You guys always have one of the best offensive lines, and you average 5-6 yards a carry, and it's been nothing close to that. So, Aiden, I'm sure you agree with me here.
I was actually just about to bring up the running back issue, and it kind of relates to Jerry Jones too. I remember at the beginning of the offseason, he was talking about all these big moves he was going to make,
Oh my god.
and
Me
we didn't
too.
get anyone, and we lost a lot of people.
We
And
lost more than we gained. Like really.
I don't know if any coach could help us in the running space. I mean,
This
it's just
dude
ridiculous
this
that
dude Jerry
Zeke and
Jones
Rico Dowdle
convinced
are RBs.
yeah, like this dude Jerry Jones convinced every Cowboys fan that Derrick Henry was gonna be a Dallas Cowboy. Like, did you not
Mhm.
think that? Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
and then he comes out and says that we couldn't afford him. Yes, we could have. We literally could have. You just don't want to pay him. So that's on you, Jerry Jones. I don't know. Like, figure it out. You're too old.
Jerry Jones, he sweats $100 bills. Okay,
Yeah, he
this
probably.
dude is so old. He's gonna die in 2 years. Like, how much money does he have to leave his family? Sign Derrick Henry, man. You're Jerry Jones. Come
It's
on.
Dallas. It's literally Dallas, bro. Who doesn't want to play for the Cow? Like, literally. I don't know. I just think we're kind of cooked this season. It's gonna be one of those years where like 7-7 or some shit, and we just suck, and we're just middle of the pack, and we get like a crappy pick, but it's not horrible, but it's not great, like the Miami Heat was for all those years before Jimmy Butler
I
got
was
there.
literally gonna compare them to the Heat.
So like, whatever. It's just annoying. Um, I mean, like speaking of run game, uh, the number one pick in majority fantasy football drafts, Christian McCaffrey, hasn't touched the field at all, and it's not looking like he will. He's actually going to see a specialist. If not, he already has seen a specialist in Germany for his Achilles. Nathan, bro, how do you?
I wish he was on the episode.
Yeah, I
I did ask him about it. He's pissed. I think everyone would be pissed.
yeah,
I think every single one of us, if we get the number one pick, takes CMC, and maybe we take someone else out, even if it means like CMC doesn't play the first 5 weeks. That yeah, like obviously he's great, but
yeah.
if he's not going to play the first 5 weeks, I'm going to take someone else with that number one pick. So I it's been a head scratcher. It's my calf is cramping up in training camp, and then all of a sudden it's not even his calf, it's his Achilles, and then you kind of hold your breath and you're like, this. I hope this doesn't get worse. So
Mm-hmm.
uh,
I'm pretty sure at least what he has now. We'll see what the specialist says is he has Achilles tendonitis, which is the swelling of the Achilles, and it's a pretty serious injury. I was actually worried at one point. I had it about a year ago, so I was looking into it, and about it's something like 10 to 15% of people who have this end up rupturing their Achilles fully because it basically means your Achilles is full of holes. And when you're playing football, I bet you it's a lot higher than 10%.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I will
Well,
say though, CMC doesn't look that bad when you look at the other first round picks. I was thinking about this when we started talking about CMC. A lot of these first round picks have been busts, and I want to give Austin credit here because I would say
yeah.
you took
Thank
the
you.
first person who probably isn't a bust. I would say Tyreek and CD have been what they are chalked up to be, and I think that goes for a lot of the people in the first round. So
Looking back on
it
the
makes
draft, I feel like I stole away a lot of pretty good guys simply because of health, which is kind of crazy. I feel like I got lucky. Like,
I mean a little bit. I've kind of on the opposite side of that. I mean Tyreek isn't hurt, but Tua is, and that's what matters.
mm,
Um, but
Tua.
uh, kind of a similar person I was just thinking about is like I thought Garrett Wilson was going to absolutely shred the league this year with Aaron Rodgers, and he's been fine and he's had flashes of being great, but I believe I'm not sure if he's gone for 20 plus yet. I got to pull up the stats. Um, but he's just been kind of mellow. Obviously, a great player, but Aaron Rodgers hasn't thrown the ball, 40 times in a game yet or anything like that. And I don't think he ever will. And he's going to spread the ball around. He's like Alan Lazard a lot more than a
Mhm.
lot of his other receivers. Mike Williams has made some plays down the stretch. And
Yep.
even Tyler Conklin had 94 of Aaron Rodgers passing yards last
That's
week. So
crazy.
Garrett Wilson, I was dead wrong about. I'm actually glad I wasn't near that position to draft it because I would have
Same.
drafted him every single time.
I'm looking at the first round, and I'm actually gonna read it off because this is kind of crazy. I'm gonna read them off in order from 1 to 12. So with the first picks, Christian McCaffrey was selected. With the second pick, CeeDee Lamb was selected. The third pick was Tyreek Hill. The fourth pick was Brees Hall. The fifth pick was Bijan. The sixth pick was Amon-Ra St. Brown. The seventh pick was Saquon. The eighth pick was Jamar Chase. The ninth pick was A.J. Brown. The 10th was Garrett Wilson. The 11th was Justin Jefferson. And lastly, the 12th was Jonathan Taylor. I'd say, like, what? One, two, three, max you could say is 5 are look to be good picks after this first round because I'm saying maybe Jonathan Taylor because he had a slower start, but he looked good last week, and it looks like they're probably gonna give him the ball more because they realize they need to run the ball. And then Bijan, I don't know how you guys rank him. Like he's good, but he's kind of like average, I would say almost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a little above average,
Yeah.
but he's not 5th round pick type. So
Yeah.
that's just a little look back on the first round there.
Yeah, I feel like Bijan is kind of like he's so much more talented, but he's kind of just been like your average Kirk Cousins running back, like a Dalvin Cook almost. Like
Yeah.
he's so much better than that, but it's almost like just the team has so many weapons. I mean, they do want to run the ball with Bijan, but sometimes I think it gets a little too obvious. But it's just one week he'll break off for 80 yards to the house on the first play or something like that. So that's what you go for with these top picks, is someone who can do something like that. But Bijan's been a little more mid than you'd think for a 5th overall pick.
Yeah. It's also weird too, like Tyler Algier gets a lot of carries, which is why. I get it every now
Actually, it's
and then.
good.
Like, why?
I think Tyler Algier could be the running back one for a lot of teams. The Cowboys, especially. I actually, I think the Falcons could have drafted a better defensive lineman with their pick that they took Bijan with. I think Algier is it would have been fine with the entire running back role, but the Falcons usually tend to draft the best talent that's available, even if it means something they don't need. Michael Penix is a perfect example of that. But I feel like the Falcons could have gone without Bijan because Tyler Algier, in my opinion, is good. He's capable of 1,000 yards in a season.
I think he's good.
Bijan,
yeah. That's why I say, like, why? Like, you have Bijan on your team, so why use Tyler Algier as much as you do? If I'm Atlanta, I'm flipping Tyler Algier because he's got high trade value around the league. I feel like Dallas would probably overpay for him. Like, there's teams that don't have a run game that'll be like probably willing to give up more for Tyler Algier than he actually values at market value, But they have a good 1-2 punch. He's good right on the. He's a powerful back.
Lightning.
He's a power back. That's what he is.
Yeah.
And he just trucks through people.
He's a bowling. He's a bowling ball with knives. Yeah, they have a nice little thunder and lightning combination there. It kind of reminds me of actually Falcons teams in the past. I don't know. I really don't remember what the other guy was on that team. They had
Cordero Patterson and like.
No. I mean the team they went to the Super Bowl with. They had like Deontay Foreman in his prime, or maybe I don't have the names right, but they had a good little 1-2 punch. I think the Falcons just like to do that. I guess it's a Falcons thing.
Could be like a injury preserve type thing too.
Yeah, you don't want to run them into the ground.
Yeah. Well, looking back on week 3, in my opinion, I feel like that was the closest set of matchups that like we've had so far, which is pretty cool. I feel like everybody on Monday night or towards the end of Sunday were kind of like scratching to see like, holy crap, these games are actually gonna get really close. Like a lot of guys were winning majority of the time and they end up losing, which is kind of doesn't happen all the time, which is exciting. Like it makes the league more fun and it makes all the matchups more exciting. You want to follow along when they're close at the end, and you never know who's gonna win.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
especially with
also
how
think
low scoring it was. Sorry, go ahead.
we were about to say the same thing. I was gonna say with how low scoring it was, a lot of the games were decided by one touchdown, and I was probably the only team in the league who knew they were losing by Sunday at 1 p.m.
Yeah,
So I was paying attention to a lot of the other matchups, and yeah, like even like the two, who was it? It was Ramey and Garrett, right?
yeah.
Even high scoring teams were pitted against each other. So this week was just crazy.
Mhm.
Um, so it kind of made up for it being a boring week scoring wise because the games are so close.
Yeah, I agree. And looking into week 4, I feel like this is where standings kind of start being set in stone, put into place. Because right now everybody has the same records, and we're all playing somebody in our division with the same record, or very similar level teams as everybody. As I was looking around the matchups, I feel like all of these matchups are fairly even this week, and I think it's going to be very telling to depict like from team to team who has the better team, who has the worst teams, that type of stuff. And I feel like this is a very important week in the fantasy league. Yeah, I mean, do you guys agree or?
I agree. Sorry,
Um,
I was trying to pull up just some of the matchups going into week 4, and I was kind of looking at my own days and off a little bit. But what were you gonna say, Aiden?
yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I think week 4 is a very big week. I think definitely in my case, if I lose this week, I'm gonna be hitting the panic button, like all hands on deck. Because there's a big difference between 3-1 and 1-3. Even though a lot of teams in this league do make playoffs, I would not want to be 1-3, especially when there's like, I mean, there are really bad teams, but there's a bunch of really bad teams. There's not like two people who you're looking at and you're like, oh, those teams, like even as a bottom team, like there's not two other teams I can look at and be like, oh, I'm way better than them. And I think if you're a really good team, there's also probably not a lot of teams you can look at and be like, oh, I'm way better than them, who are you're contending with.
Yeah,
So
that is true. I think the league is it's weird because it's super top heavy, but there's not like, I mean, but besides like if you're looking at Smaze's team and then Nate Cominoli's team, that's probably like where you're like, wow, this team's way better than and maybe it's just Nate's team compared to every team. I don't know. Like his team's not good. And 8 people in this league make the playoffs. So, I'm right. Is it 8 or is it
yeah,
6?
8. It's 8.
As a
Okay, so I mean 4 people are getting
good
booted out.
LM.
So don't be in the bottom 4 because like you're not making the playoffs and you're not winning anything back. And that's another thing. Like if you get in first place, or I don't know if we've decided first place or most points, you get a little prize too. I don't know what we decided on. I don't remember.
All that
You're just
matters is you wanna do good. That's what matters. You want an extra, at least an extra week of fantasy football. That's all. That's what I always say.
Yeah, Nate and
Um,
Stevie, I hope you're watching this. Like, you could take some advice, maybe. I don't know.
hey, LM. I know you just had ACL surgery, but you don't seem to know any of the rules in the league, man.
listen. I made them, so I don't need to know them off the top of my head. It's all right here. I got it all in my notes. It's just somewhere.
Okay, all right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, looking at what we got over here, we have a trade talk section, but literally nobody was traded. Like nobody was traded since last episode. Uh, Aiden, are there guys in your team that are available for trade? Like, are you looking to make
everyone,
trades? Okay, so why don't you just
everyone.
start talking? Just
Um, I was definitely after this week. I was freaking out a little bit, and I'm sure a lot of the league will know what I'm talking about. I think you two both do. About trades I was considering. Um,
Yeah.
And
Oh boy.
I think I have one more week before I have to hit a trade like that. Um, but I will say, everyone hates on these trades I'm showing them, but I say, you think it's so bad, try to beat it, and they can't. But
Well, because I haven't tried,
um,
because I don't want to.
but the trade I'm referencing, I'm sure Aiden Kerr, if he's watching, will know what I'm talking about. I actually had 3 people in the league tell me the exact same thing, that they would shoot me in the head if I took that trade, ruining the league.
I was one of
Um,
them.
yes, there were several other people. So I think,
Yeah.
my team, I don't have to hit the full panic button yet if it's not getting. I think Jamar and Gibbs are both very solid players. They're definitely my only stars. And if they're not getting the respect they deserve, I do think I have one more week to wait on that. And I will just say, I think like teams are either like so bad that I struggle to even formulate a trade with them that I would even want. Like even if I could get everything I wished for, or they're too good that they just don't want to trade with me because like why would they risk it?
Yeah, that's kind of
So
the issue with
I'm in a
this
bit of
league.
a tough position.
I feel like there's no balance really. It's kind of the top
Hmm.
teams this year, and then there's the lower end teams. There's no really in between. So
Yeah.
Well, as the year goes on, there will be some injuries to some key players. And it'll bump up the lower teams who get some waiver wire pickups. But um, I feel like last year, straight out the draft, we had a really even start. I mean, we didn't have anyone like Smays who had the best team after the draft, and then somehow got Jordan Mason on the waivers after week one. I mean, that's what sucks is when the best team, the best team, loses the first week and then gets a good
well,
waiver wire
no, that happened to
because
you
there's
last
always
year.
some good.
Because you got Puka Nakua last year in waiver wires, and your team was
Well,
disgusting.
I missed the playoffs. Actually, a little public service announcement for people, guys. If you get a trade that benefits you, make sure that they aren't still all on bye because I served the bye weeks last year for everyone that I traded away, and I traded for everyone that still had a bye. Regardless of how good they are, if you can't even play the people you traded for, and you can't throw out your best lineup every week, it doesn't matter if you don't make the playoffs. And actually, you know what? Regardless of how talented my team was last year, I think I maybe would have made it to like the semifinal last year, but I was losing after that. I didn't perform last year. But I guess while I'm talking, I'll just throw some trades out for my team. Um, I'm really not fielding offers on Rashi Rice. Him and Mahomes as a stack, I don't really think I want to move on from that at all. Um, and then the trio of running backs, if you make the right offer for James Cook, Singletary, or Moss, they're all on the table. Tyreek Hill, really don't lowball me for Tyreek Hill. We all know he's still talented, but I'll field some offers. But uh,
I don't know.
I wouldn't talk to me about Rashi Rice. He's untouchable in all honesty.
Yeah. Um. Yo, George, just stop. Just just stop. You're never getting Marvin Harrison Jr. He's never being traded for my team. He's untouchable. Yo, this you've tried like I think. Swear to God, I'm looking at you, George. You've tried 6 times, bro. Cut it out. You're not getting him. He's untouchable. Okay, untouchable. All right, George. That's how I'm gonna start off my trade part. Okay. Um, looking at the rest of my squad though, I'm not gonna lie. I'm very content with my team. Um, I'm happy with it. Everybody seems to perform at a pretty decent level. If there were people to be traded from my team, you guys can look at Deontay Johnson, JSN, and T. Higgins. Those are the guys that I would probably look to move. Um, and maybe Raheem Mostert if you guys are interested in him. He's on my IR, so that's a little difficult. But yeah, I really don't see a reason at all for me to trade anybody because I feel like my team is solid. I don't really have a need or desire to trade for anyone. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out my flex, but if Deontay Johnson, you know what, leading into the next segment, which is the hot takes segment, Deontay Johnson is startable with Andy Dalton as a quarterback because last week He had 28 points with 26 points with 14 targets, 8 receptions, 122 yards, and a touchdown. That is my hot take. And if he's going to stay a solid like 15 plus, that's my flex spot.
Yeah, I mean, he looked very solid. It's scary hours for Bryce Young. It's not good when Andy Dalton comes out there and cooks and makes the Panthers offense look not bad.
Yeah,
Um,
that's not good.
and another note, I mean, Deontay Johnson is going to be great. I don't want to take away from that, but it's probably maybe the only other team who has any stake in the Panthers offense with Brooks. I was very happy to see their offense look good under Andy Dalton and for Hubbard to look good. Because in my opinion,
Yeah.
you don't draft Brooks that high for use Hubbard all the time. And maybe I'll have an RB2 in about 3 weeks from now. That would be nice. But
Yep.
I can only hope.
The miracle for Aiden Good.
Yeah, I feel good about starting Deontay Johnson against the Bengals defense this upcoming week. So I agree with that hot take. We'll see what happens after that. I don't think the Red Rocket is going to really light up the league like crazy. But obviously, you'd
Hey,
be
man.
glad if he can continue even a fraction of what he did last week. And I know we're in hot takes. Smays, I don't even know if you watched this far into the episodes, but can you stop trying to just throw Chuba Hubbard
Oh my
into
God.
every trade? He's not going to even be playing that much when Jonathan Brooks comes back. So you're offering a nobody and someone else, probably Devontae Adams, to probably everybody in the league. So
Not me.
Oh,
Not
wow.
the
You might be
opposite.
one of only like 3 people in the league. Maybe it's because Marvin Harrison Jr. is untouchable. But
Yeah. To,
um,
to make it very
I
clear, I'm
think
never trading him.
I've talked to a lot of people. I've been talking a lot of trades, and I think almost everyone has been offered a Devonte Adams and Hubbard trade. I am one of those people.
Dang.
I know George has been offered that as well. And yeah, I don't want Hubbard, bro. I want Jones. That is who I want, and you won't give him to me, but that's all right, bro.
Can I
everybody's
get
going to
my
want him.
turn? Can I get my turn with the offers, Maze? Like, dang. At least let me see something. Like,
You
I'm
don't let
interested low key in Devonte Adams. The hell? I don't know. Yo, Aiden Good, you have the worst running back core I've ever seen.
Yeah. So I don't know
Like,
about the worst I've ever seen. That might be a little bit harsh, but
I don't know.
I don't really know. I don't know if I can quote on that because it makes me kind of sad to look at other running back cores. But yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, I'm not. Jalen
Let's.
Warren
We're gonna
might
go
be
over it.
my worst
We're gonna go
my
over it
worst draft pick of all time.
right
I'm
now.
not gonna. That was a bad draft pick. Um, and yeah, I mean, I do think Gibbs is kind of at his floor right now, is how I would put it. Because even though I said David Montgomery is very good, like I said this all year last year, so I don't want to say it now, but I just can't believe Gibbs isn't going to take over more of this offense. But people have been saying that for almost a year and a half now, and he still hasn't.
Because it's not year
So
3, dog. It's not year 3. It's year 3 when shit changes. It
yeah,
really is.
but I definitely, yeah, I don't have an RB2. That's pretty much how it is. Alexander Madison is getting the start this week, so I'm gonna hope he gets a touchdown with one of his 3 carries again for the 3rd week in a row, and we're gonna pray from there. But yeah, I don't even think that's a hot take. I think that's like it's like icy cold.
Yeah, I mean, you have a running back core of Jameer Gibbs, Alexander Madison, Gus Edwards, Jalen Warren, and then you got Jonathan Brooks if you want if
Yeah,
he's good. But he's on
I
your
mean, if
IR,
Brooks
so
is
it doesn't
good,
matter.
if Brooks is good though, I might be getting a Panthers jersey, which I never thought I would be doing ever. But
Yo,
if he
yo,
bails me out.
yo. If you get some mid-ass players jersey, Aiden, because of fantasy football, when he comes in and probably drops like what? He'll probably have like a 30-point week or something at one point, and then he'll just have 10 the rest of the year, and you'll get that jersey because of
uh,
the 30-point week.
Well, that's about 7 points higher than Jalen Warren is averaging.
Yeah, you put up. What did you put up last week against me? 1.1.
I don't know. I don't even like to look anymore.
It's actually
He's
funny.
never seen the light of day.
Yeah. You guys want to do quick picks? Quick picks?
I'm down.
Matchup of the
Yeah.
week and worst matchup of the week. All right. Aiden, do you want to start?
Yeah, let me pull up the matchups quick on my phone here. A little bit unprepared. I mean, okay, I'll start off first of
So
all
yeah. So do you know how
with me
quick
and
picks
Garrett.
work? Do you know how quick picks works?
I mean, I just pick a team quick, right?
Yeah. But you got to give the
All
matchup of
right.
the week and you got to give the worst matchup of the week too. Okay.
All right, my worst matchup of the week. I'm actually gonna say me and Garrett. We're definitely, I would say, two bottom four teams in the league. I don't see that. And then for matchup of the week, I am going to go with. I think you have to go here with AJK and Nathan Donnelly. I mean, even though Nathan Donnelly had a down week last week, the first 2 weeks his team looked unbeatable. And I mean, Aiden Kerr probably has a top 3 team as well. So I don't really see. I don't see any other matchup of the week. Then am I going through all my picks quickly, or do we go one by one? All right.
Yeah. You
I'll
go.
go with
Yeah.
I'll go with me over Garrett because I'm never not gonna pick myself. I'm gonna go with George over Ramey if AJ Brown comes back. I'm gonna go with Smays over Austin. Don't take it personally. It's Smays. I'm gonna go with. Oh, wow, this actually might be the worst matchup. Never mind. I'm gonna go with Sean Stevenson over Nate. That's a pretty bad matchup too. Um, I'm gonna go with Aiden Kerr over Nathan Donnelly, and then finally bounce back week or not a bounce back week. He came back. I'm gonna take James over Sheree.
Okay. Those are good picks, man. James, why don't you go ahead, James? You know.
I'm gonna start off where Aiden finished up. I'm gonna take myself over Sheree. Um, Sheree is projected to beat me, but I don't care. Uh, I do want to pick against Ramey again, but every time I've done it, he's won. Um, so I'm gonna go with some reverse psychology. I'm gonna pick Ramey. Ramey, you are going to beat George. Um, yeah, Clint flickers every time. I'm sorry, Austin. Um, Aiden, you're going to take the L this week against Garrett. My worst matchup of the week, Nate Caminelli and Sean Stevenson. Austin, I'm sure you're going to agree with me on this. This is a dumpster fire, and I don't think anyone's even going to watch this matchup or look at it. And then the best matchup of the week, Nathan Donnelly in both matchup of the week games of the past 2 weeks. I'm gonna take Don over AJK as an upset here. I
Ooh.
think
Ooh.
Nico Collins goes off. Honestly, I really don't think Nate's favored. He says he's only supposed to lose by 2. He could easily lose by more, but I'm gonna go Nate with the upset.
All right. Time for my quick picks. Oh, I love when I get to go. You know why? Because the worst matchup of the week ain't nobody care about, bruh. Stevie versus Nate, who cares? Like, really. I'm sorry, guys. Your teams are literally 11 and 12. Like, nobody cares. Nobody's going to look at this. No one's going to text about it in the group chat other than you. So, why don't you text each other separately and save it? That's my opinion. Um, Matchup of the week, me versus Maze. And you know
Oh
why? Because
God.
this is the battle for first place in our division. That's why it's match
Mhm.
of the week. And to start off with the quick picks, I am beating Smaze this week. Smaze, you're going down, bro. You are actually losing. Trust. You know why you're going to lose? Because Deontay Johnson. That's why you're going to lose. Book it. You heard it here first. Austin Townley beats Sean Mays in week 4 and takes first place in the division. Book it. All right, moving on. I got George over Ramey. Yeah, yo, you know, no. Keep hating, keep making fun of me. Watch when I'm right. Hey, when I'm right, James, you're gonna apologize to me next episode, and Aiden, I'm gonna call you on the pod, and you better answer, and you're gonna give me an apology.
I will.
All right. I got George over Ramey. I got Garrett beating you, bro. I got Garrett over Aiden Good. Sorry, dude. Um, Worst matchup of the week. God, who do I pick? The worst team in the league or the second worst team in the league? Stevie, I think you're gonna win. I'm not gonna lie. That'll be
Yeah,
your second and only win, probably.
I
And
might
then
have missed on my worst matchup of the week with me and Garrett.
it's okay. It's okay. That's just
Got to do something different.
yeah. You got to be something different than just James and I. Can't always just be the same, or else it's just boring. Aiden Kerr versus Nathan Donnelly. I'm gonna go with Nathan Donnelly this week. His team continues to surprise me every single week, so I gotta pick him. And then Sheree versus James. This is really easy. James, you're probably gonna kick him. You're not even projected to win, but like Sheree's projections are so much higher than what his team produces. It's crazy. So that's my quick picks for the week. And that is gonna wrap up the episode pretty much. Thanks for tuning in, guys, to week 4. James, as always, thank you so much for helping me co-host the show. And Aiden Good, thank you for coming on. You got anything to say?
I just want to say thank you. This is a very nice way to procrastinate doing my schoolwork. So thank you for
Facts.
that.
Me too. Aiden, it was a joy to have you on. Feel free to come back on later on in the podcast. Maybe we'll get some more guests. Try to get everybody on who wants to get on. If you want to hop on an episode, text me. We can figure it out. Work something out. Maybe it's just a week if it's just me and you, or just me, James, and somebody on Discord again to get somebody else in here. Or if you're at Bonaventure, bring you to the stew. Bring you up to the stew, and we can cook up an episode. Ramey, I'd love to get you on. I know you watch them. So, Ramey, text me, please. If we can get you on, maybe like Thanksgiving break or something, that'd be sick. Yeah. So, that's week 4. Peace.